Hey, what's shaking, everybody? Jamie McDonald here with Mike Beaning, and wait, there's supposed to be somebody down at the bottom here next to Mike and I, Bill Booz. He's our guest tonight. We're running into a few technical difficulties, which seems to be the norm when you're using Google Hangouts to do your show. So I guess in the meantime, we'll kind of just do our typical, our show format. We might talk about a little bit of news, upcoming events, do some image shares. And while all of that is happening, I'm going to continue in the background. If you see me looking down, I'll be trying to send the invite out to Bill. Hey, look it. What do you know? We've got him.
Oh.
So I guess I gave that whole big spiel about trying to get Bill on for nothing, and here he is. So
that was a tense 10 minutes.
Yeah. So we'll let Bill's connection get established here. There he is.
Hey.
Wait, where am I? There you are. My God, what was that all about?
Welcome to the internet.
What was what, Bill? There was nothing. Nothing happened.
No delay.
That was rehearsed.
Okay, you got to help me remember how I'm supposed to do this thing or my lower third. That the toolbox?
Yep, that's gonna be the Hangout toolbox on your left there, Bill.
Yeah.
Very top. Okay. No, that's not it. That's something else.
Right below the pencil that you just
It looks like a little lunch box.
Looks like a little lunch pail, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it looks like a little lunch pail. I don't see a lunch pail. Oh, I see down there. Yeah, but I got something else on the screen here now that I got to get rid of.
Yeah,
you enabled the drawing tools.
Yeah.
Like it.
Well, if you got something to draw.
What'd you say?
If you have something to draw, it might be worth it tonight.
Nah, I don't have anything to draw.
This is the interview episode where Bill gets rid of the camera and picks up the digital pencil and takes up the drawing.
Yeah, the hell with this picture taker stuff. Okay, so then what am I doing up here? I got to get the lower third. What? No, where is it?
All right, so you click on the Hangout toolbox, and the little thing slides out on the right-hand side of your screen.
Got that.
And the icon below the lunch pail looks like a little silhouette inside of a circle.
Yeah.
You click on that, and then you should see an option for lower third.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
And then when you key in all your information, unless you've got one saved, I think you saved one the last time we did this.
Yeah, I thought I did too. But
down at the bottom it says saved presets. You can click
there it is. Lower third.
Yeah.
Checkbox. Okay, so I just checked that. Whoops, there we go. It's backwards.
Now it's only backwards for you. I can see you.
Oh, because I'm looking out the window, right?
Yeah,
you got it. You're on the back side of the screen.
Or into the mirror. It depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, how do I get rid of this pencil tool? Because I really don't want to draw anything.
I really have never clicked on that before.
Thanks a lot,
You're kind of on your own.
Right.
What does that say?
That's going to be Mirrorless Minutes number 15. We're going to talk about the pencil mode.
Pencil. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just getting ahead of myself, huh?
Yeah. If you hit it back, it'll go right back.
Up there it went.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
You're venturing into uncharted territory, Bill.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wanted to do something with my iPad, and of course it decided to crash, and all I've seen is now it's back, but all I saw was a white apple for a long time. Your notes on there, so okay. Now, is it possible for me to see that on there? I've got the volume all turned down. Probably never done that either, have you?
Now, what are you trying to do exactly?
I wanted to see the Hangout on my iPad.
Oh, I'm sure you could probably watch it via the link that I pasted into the chat a little while ago for you.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
You can watch it there. And I'm going to do what they usually do on radio and suggest that you turn the volume down so as not to confuse yourself by the echo.
Okay. Testing. Is that any better?
We can hear you just fine.
Is that good? Is it too loud?
No, sounds good.
Not at all.
It's
fine.
It's your. Okay. Alrighty.
All right.
We're live, just so you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that's good.
I didn't know that, but that's fine.
That's absolutely the truth. That's how everyone knows.
That's what makes this so great, is that everybody can see that we are just down-to-earth, normal people. And
have no clue what we're doing.
Right. like a lot of others.
All right, so we're all set up and rolling here. So let's just do a little bit of an introduction. So tell us about yourself, William Booz.
I'm Bill Booz. I've learned I really need to call myself Bill Booz instead of William Booz, because the only person that called me William was my mother when she was angry, and my 8th grade English teacher.
Yeah.
But I'm just a retired educator. I taught German, and I worked in a large, at the time it was like the 10th largest school district in the country, and I was involved in instructional technology. I've just had a perfect job life, because I got out on the surfboard in around 1983 or so, when we were next to the Department of Defense schools. We were the largest Atari installation in the world, and so my job was to work with humanities teachers, because I taught German, and help them learn how to use technology. But this is when we have very, very primitive technology, especially when you compare it to today. And I just really have been very lucky. Was very lucky for the next, I guess, 13 years. It was my job to play and learn how to use stuff, and then teach the teachers and principals and counselors, librarians, how to use those tools. And those tools grew as the time went on, and it just got more and more exciting. We got a whole bunch of IBMs in, and that's when we were so excited that we had a 5 megabyte hard drive on an IBM XT, and then we got a lab of Apples. The Ataris kind of went by the wayside, and I eventually, then the web came along, and I was on that ride as well. And probably my proudest moment is when a guy across from me, who had been an engineer, worked in Computerland actually at the time, because Apple was one of our big suppliers, and he stood up. He said, "If you mention the word internet one more time, I'm going to kill you." Of course, you wouldn't say that today, but it turned out that I was right and he was wrong, that this was going to be a big thing. And so I've just really been very lucky in that respect. And then I had an opportunity. I was friends with this guy who was my boss the last 3 years, or almost the last 3 years. He retired before I did. And I said, we need somebody to be in charge of web stuff for the school system. He said, "Why don't you design that job?" So I did. I applied for it. I got it. That's when I retired 2 years later. So that's my background. And I did photography for my life, because I think I mentioned one writing that I finally figured out that I'm not any of the pictures, so I stopped taking pictures. But we got into some digital, a Sony Mavic. I don't know if you guys remember those.
Oh, yeah.
The Kodak with a 3.5-inch floppy, which wasn't floppy, it was a plastic thing.
I've got all kinds of floppies.
Yeah, and I've got tons of those, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with them, but I can't throw them away. So we had that, and then I retired. I bought myself a Sony Mavic, and then we were going on a trip to France to celebrate my retirement, a new granddaughter, and a whole bunch of other things that were happening in our lives. And we went back to that place in 2007, and by that time I was retired, and I worked for George Washington University in their School of Ed, and then I worked for UVA in their School of Ed, University of Virginia. And I did web design on the side, so I had done a web job for a woman that I've never personally met. She lives in Florida. We are virtual friends. And from making her website, I bought a Canon Rebel XTI, I think it was, in 2007. That started my digital journey. And I'm of that age where when I got my Canon FTB back in the 70s, we lived in a townhouse, and the basement had a sink in it, so I had a little dark room down there, so I did black and white printing and developing and printing, so that was fun. So that's why I love now being able to do in black and white and still be able to pull out the color, as you were showing in your video, Jamie. I was doing that with my Canon, and was thrilled that I could still do it on the Olympus when we got it. So that fast forward from 2007 to 2000. What is it? We're in 15, 14. So in 2013. And I'd kind of gotten into that. I'd retired. I retired. I always think I retired in 1999. I actually stopped working in 2011. So I retired in 2011. And I was going to start, the typical kind of thing. I was going to do family portraits and headshots and things like that. Then I realized after a session with our granddaughters and their cousins, I really had no clue about posing people, particularly young women. And that maybe this isn't the thing I should try to make some extra cash on so I can buy stuff. And it's then I really decided I really do love to teach, and I think you and I, the three of us, talked about that when we had a little dry run, that we all kind of like to help other people learn how to use things, and that's what I've done since 1983. If you don't count the 17 years I was helping kids learn German. And so that really kind of set me on this path of doing classes and meeting people. I talked with my daughter said, so one of her friends would love to have you tutor her. She doesn't want to take a class. And I've learned now that, in this particular community in Lynchburg and Central Virginia that a lot of people prefer that. They don't really want to take classes. So that became my new career, and keeps me enough money that I can keep buying gear. I'm not going to fall for what Adam Favre said I was going to do, and that's try to get people to buy gear. Right? But I just really enjoy helping people learn how to take advantage of the tools they have, whether they're computers, software, or cameras. And I stopped my little chronological tour change 2011 or 2013. I had finally gotten an Apple iPhone. I hadn't had one. I'd helped faculty with them for years, but didn't own one myself. And I found I was taking so many pictures with that iPhone 5. It was, and I had a little Canon shoot that I took with me everywhere. And what I really wanted was a camera that was a little bit better than the iPhone and wasn't as bulky as my Canon 60D. And so I was looking at the Canon point and shoots, the higher end Canon point and shoots, and really I was going to have to shell out up $500 for a camera that had met my specs, which were I wanted it to shoot RAW, I wanted it to have a hot shoe for a flash, I wanted to be able to shoot in manual and aperture priority, shutter priority, all those things. And that led me to, I don't know how it is that I've lumped onto Olympus, but I found the Olympus Pen PL3. I bought it in November of 13, and it was only $249. So it was still half the price of what I was going to pay for this other camera. And that really kind of got me started on the Olympus drug test journey. And I just became more and more intrigued with what I could do with this little camera and how much smaller it was. The fact that I could use my Canon lenses, which was kind of fun to play with an adapter on it. I had that, I think, for November, for about 2 months, 3 months, and I started pining for Wi-Fi and top dials, or not Wi-Fi, just the top dials. And so I was looking at the EP5, I think it was Pen EP5, and that was right about when the EM10 came out. So I just held off a little bit and bought the EM10. And so I don't know if we're going from one kind of drug to another kind of drug, but we're still in the same family. And then finally decided, and somebody, I've made lots of friends online and have gotten lots of advice, good and bad, and you just like anybody else who's in a position who's going to make a decision. I can choose what I want to listen to, what I don't. And one guy said, if the longer you hang on to that Canon, the less money you're going to get for it when you do decide to sell it. So it kind of made sense. I got over the shock of getting half the price for it that I paid for it. But the person who bought it was that woman for whom I'd done a website, who had just gone through some trauma in her life, and so it was really kind of exciting. And she's the one that bought my camera that got me on this whole trip anyway. And then since I didn't have the 60D anymore, I might as well get rid of all the other stuff. So I started doing that, and because of the money I got from the 60D and a really beautiful L lens that I really hated parting with, but I met this student from Liberty University at the local Starbucks, and he was really excited, and I was really excited, and then I bought a EM1, and now I'm really excited, even more excited. So, I now am I'm actually a two-camera guy, because before my EM10 was stolen, I was going to sell it or work a deal with our daughter, because we were going to give it to our granddaughter, second granddaughter, for her Christmas present, and the deal was I was going to buy the Tough 3, mainly because of you, Jamie. So you're like a dealer as well, and I don't mean the dealer of cameras.
Right.
But that's basically that is what you are, dealer of. And so I bought the Tough 3, and so now I have that. I have my iPhone and I have my EM1, and I've got more lenses I've ever had in my life. And I think I'm finished, but I'm smart enough to not say that publicly, so nobody really ever heard that.
Yeah.
Because we're never finished.
No, sadly.
No, I'm sure not. Well, that's a story, and I think that's just that's not unlike many of our stories. You know, shooting a Nikon for years that I shot, and then going back to selling one thing, buying an EM5, working with the figures, and I got to do more. I got to sell something and buy some more. And I think that's what happens when you look behind me. That's what happens.
Uh-huh.
You know, it goes from one thing to the next, and all of a sudden you got shelves and a video cockpit.
Exactly.
I think we can both blame that on Jamie if you want.
Yeah, that's why my computer is facing this way and not where all the cameras are up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Bill, so I know you've always done education and German. Obviously I've got a little bit namesake there, at least in the German side. My German professor in college was the only one that ever spelled my name or ever said my name correctly.
Mike, I'm having a little trouble understanding you.
Are you? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
maybe you're coming in. Am I jumping on your screen, Jamie?
No, just the audio sounds really bad. I don't know if it's or if you're on the built-in mic right now, or if you're on your Yeti. Your Yeti doesn't usually sound like this.
No, I know.
Hey, Bill, do me a favor,
Go
will
ahead.
you? At the
Yes.
top of your screen, if you bring your cursor up there just above where your head is at, there's a little microphone icon. Click on that for a second and mute it, and we'll see if that... Okay. You still there, Mike?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I think we're getting feedback from Bill's mic right now.
That could be. Can you hear me though?
Like clear, like you're in the same room.
Yeah.
That was much better. So I'll just mute mine. Okay, when you talk, Mike, I'll mute mine.
You got it. Okay. So, anyways, back to your education time there. I know you've got something else that you're real excited about, and I've been able to look through, and that's your new ebook. So you've got to give us an idea, not only what the ebook is that you put out there, but maybe some of the struggles that you went through too, putting it together.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just so you know, Bill, I can control your mic from here. So.
Oh, okay. You did that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not only a dealer, you're in charge.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. I'm very excited about this whole prospect of doing ebooks. I know you guys are familiar with David Duchemin's Craft and Vision and how he started that kind of little empire and was shocked at the reaction to it. Well, I'm not counting on that. I'm not trying to build an empire at all. But I don't give a lot of handouts when I do my tutoring classes. When I do a class, I'll offer classes in the spring and kind of the traditional times, and I don't usually get a whole lot of people who sign up for them or I'll get one or two, and that's fine because I have no overhead, so a class can go when I have one. I do make some handouts, but in this tutoring venture, I had a lady who was not going to be able to meet. She was commuting, as I used to, from Lynchburg to Washington, D.C. Weekly, and she wasn't going to be able to get back together. In fact, we haven't been able to get back together since then. That was early in the fall. And so I put together this, shooting in the priority mode, which I don't really talk very much about in my classes or when I'm tutoring because I focus on using on shooting in manual mode. So I put this together, and then I polished it up a little bit because I thought some other people might like to use it, or it might be helpful to other people, and I've shared it with a lot of people. And then I thought, I'd really like to do an ebook, and I'd started this some years ago, playing around with InDesign and trying to figure out, okay, how can I make an ebook for different things, for family stuff, and we have a house we used to let people use, and so I had kind of the things to watch out for in this old house when you're using it on the weekend or whatever. And so I pulled the InDesign out again and started playing with it. And the good news was, and I think I indicated this when I was writing the ebook, the nice thing was it was already done. The text was really pretty much done or finished, and I needed to polish it because the format of presentation was going to be different than just a straight kind of 8.5 by 11 PDF. And so it probably took me 2 or 3 days to get comfortable and familiar again with InDesign. And then for those who may not know, InDesign is a layout program for for any kind of publication, not just not. In fact, it's used. It's an industry standard, I think, for magazines and books.
Can I ask you a quick question about that?
Yes.
Is there a reason you chose to go that route using InDesign? Do you have intentions of actually running this off as a print, or because I was just wondering why you went that route versus like the Apple iBook authoring program.
Well, I didn't want to be locked into iBook. That was my main reason. And I have the iBook authoring program, and to be honest, I've never even launched it. But so I don't know what its capabilities are as far as outputting as a PDF. Have you used that?
Yeah.
And you can output
I used
it
it a little bit. Yeah.
I have not tried to export what I've been working on so far as a PDF. I think that the option is there, but I just didn't know because you were referencing InDesign as being like it's kind of one of the de facto layout programs that people use for publishing. So I was just curious if we're getting a sneak peek at maybe something that you're going to publish down the road.
No, I don't. I've listened to too many horror stories from people like Derek Story and who can pronounce Ibronic's name? Pereira, who does the Canon frame and their trials and tribulations of putting books together. No, that's not my future as far as I know, Jamie, at all. Now, if Peach Pit calls me tonight and offers me a contract, I'll talk to him, but I don't think that's going to happen either. I chose InDesign mainly, Jamie, because I had it. Before I retired, I got the whole suite. I'm very fortunate in having a neighbor and a friend of our daughter's and a friend of ours who worked at Adobe at the time, and so she was able to get me a sweet deal on buying the whole when it was still what's not called Creative Cloud. It was got
CS.
Suite CS. Yeah. So I have 5 CS or CS5. And so I still have it. It's still good. It still does good stuff.
Cool.
I don't have the latest and greatest, but so my purpose for using it, because I really wanted to do it, and this is kind of really my theme in everything I do. I want to do things that I can help other people who might want to do those things, and I don't want to do them in an expensive way because the average person, and that's what's kind of cool about the very fact that you guys started this show, and I'm on it. And there are all this other circle of friends that we've all gotten, and we're not the big guys, as you said earlier, Jane, we're kind of the little guys, and yet this technology and what this internet my colleague told me back in 1992 was not going to go anywhere. It really has empowered all of us to do some very cool things, and more importantly, to share what we know.
Right.
And I think that's the message to young folks. And to old folks too, because a lot of old folks have a lot still to share. I'm here to tell you that. And it's it is much easier. It's not so easy, but it's much easier to do than it ever was before. So InDesign doesn't meet those standards, because it's not an inexpensive program. I mean, if you want to pay $19 a month for the subscription, you could do that. But I was trying to do it in Pages, and I was just very frustrated with Pages. Now, my former boss, Phil Davis, who he and I were geeks together in the last 3 years of my my time with him, and he lives in Florida, and he's really become an expert on Pages. So I need to tap his brain a little bit because that is something. If anybody has a Mac, they have that. And the iBook authoring tool, if it will export into a PDF, I can share the same way I'm sharing this ebook. Then that's what I'll try because that's free. It is free, I think, isn't it? Or very inexpensive. It's not.
Yeah.
The Mac one.
It comes bundled.
Yeah.
It comes bundled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But it is Mac specific, so that's another roadblock because I'm not. I'm by computer. I only use Macs, but I've helped people with both. So, my motivation really was to share the information that I was sharing in another way, in a more attractive way perhaps, and in a way that it kind of is becoming very popular. Now the irony of all this is, and I hope my brother-in-law doesn't get upset with me for telling this, but he wrote and he said, Bill, it was all great, but it took me so long to print it out. And I'm thinking, well, that's not really what I intended anybody to do. It's going to pick up a lot of your green and black ink, so
that's for sure.
But some people will do that. I mean, and that's fine. And I'm going to be thoughtful about that the next time I do an ebook and have a little more white pages, so there's not so much black ink wasted.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to answer your question, Mike, yes, this is very exciting. It's been very exciting, and what's even more exciting, and I can't imagine what David Duchamp felt like after selling thousands of these and actually making money. Is just, within a week, 300, 400 people downloaded it.
Did they?
And
Excellent.
that's just, and then now I get trickles every once in a while, and like when you put the thing out about this episode coming up, I'll get a couple. I mean, I have a little trigger that sends me an email when somebody's downloaded the ebook, and if I have apparently some mistake in my code because it's not, they're able to download it and not give me all the information. All I want to know is where they're from. I'm not asking for their email.
Oh yeah.
I'm not harvesting anything. And then I don't know if you asked this question. I know you had it in your notes you were going to ask me, but this leads me to, I think I might like to write another ebook, and I might try to sell that one.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I think so. I mean, it would be, yeah, definitely. And I think when we discussed it before, it wasn't going to be priced in the stratosphere either.
$4.
So, yeah, shouldn't be too hard. There's a lot of work that goes into that. It definitely is.
I'm still negotiating. I love Flash, and that's what the ebook that I'm going to write that I am going to try to sell, or I'm going to put out there to sell. Whether it sells or not is not. And that's the nice thing. This is not my job.
Right.
I'm not depending on it to live, so I empathize with those where that is the situation. But I'm going to do it on Flash and just using one light. And the dilemma with Flash always, even with the students that I have, is finding models. Not that, and you can find models, but again, I'm being cheap, so I don't want to pay anybody necessarily. But so I have a wig head that's really great. I put a hat on her, and I call her Siobhan. But that's not really going to do it for this book. So I've got to get into negotiations with my teenage granddaughters and tell them I'll give them a 10% slice.
Yeah. Yeah. Get the release sign too.
Yeah.
So just in case it goes big.
Coffee when they go to college or something. No.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Jamie? Want to share some images?
Oh, I love to do that.
Yeah, I know. Do you want to let Bill go first?
Sure. Yeah, go right ahead, Bill.
All right,
Bill. So you're going to challenge the Google Plus disclosure.
Yes,
yeah, you'll want to definitely.
Right.
Okay. Never mind. I'm getting sidetracked here. I'm changing my screen back to color. I was worried that if I did a photo share, everything would be in black and white.
Let me.
Try that.
Got preview running.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you seeing it?
No, not yet. No. So you want to go over on the left-hand side and click on Screen Share. It's the little toolbar that pops out.
Yep.
You'll click on Screen Share.
Wait a minute. I've lost you again. I've lost the Hangout.
We can still see you and hear you.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't see my screen, so the screen where.
Probably fell behind one of the other open windows.
Okay. So let's go to Safari, and that's not what I want. Come on. So I'm probably your most challenged guest to date, aren't I?
It only takes doing this once, and then the next time it'll be a piece of cake for you.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you what. How about this? While you're doing that, I'll do.
You go ahead and share. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you look for you get the window back up.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's see. I haven't done a whole boatload of shooting since the last episode, but I have done a little bit. And this, although compositionally speaking, is probably not the greatest photo ever, it was still exciting for me. I was doing one of the things I love to do, which is take an alternate route home from work one day, and I was in the middle of nowhere, and I was actually just I've been looking for snowy owls here in Michigan because they do seem to visit in the wintertime, and I'm always looking up at telephone poles because that tends to be where they hang out. And I noticed a bird, and I could tell by the markings on its face from a quarter mile away. I knew exactly what it was, and it's a peregrine falcon. So I got to within probably 200 yards of it, pulled my car over, got out, and started walking slowly up the road and taking photos as I went. This was shot with the 40-150 f2.8 Pro with the 1.4 teleconverter attached. So this is at 210 millimeters at f4. This is straight out of camera, and this is probably almost a 100% crop. I mean, you're looking at like a quarter of what was the full image. I mean, it cropped in that tight and still retains, in my mind, like a ridiculous amount of resolution. And you can see underneath his talons there, he's actually eating lunch. And you can see around his beak that he's got blood around his beak. So I caught him mid-lunch, and he hung out the entire time that I was there shooting. So I was pretty stoked for that. And again, just one of those chances to play with the 40 to 150. And so that was like, about a week and a half ago. And then I went out this past weekend to a local event to raise money for Special Olympics, and it was a polar plunge. And basically the gist of that is crazy people like to cut a big hole in the ice and jump in the middle of the wintertime to raise money. And while we were waiting for the people to arrive and start jumping in the water, there were a pair of swans in the open water, and I liked the way the light was falling on this swan and decided to shoot a photo of it while it was stretching out its wings, and ended up processing it with one of the presets that I developed myself. And the next two photos will be actually from the polar plunge. One is just an action shot. I guess you can't really talk about a polar plunge without showing the people jumping in. And I mean, from a technical point of view, this isn't really anything I'm proud to show, but I just wanted to show you people jumping in and lead up to the next shot, which my favorite shots were all not really of the people jumping in. It was the people actually out of the water and running back to get somewhere where it was warm. And this was Princess, I think her name is Elsa from Frozen. She was very well done up before she went into the water. And it was funny because as she approached the edge of the ice, she stepped on her dress and took a header into the water unexpectedly. So her expression from the minute she got to the edge of the ice until she got up to the warming tent was one of utter shock and surprise and dismay. It was hilarious. But this is probably my favorite photo from that day. Just the clarity, again, 40 to 150 f2.8, wide open at 2.8. Fully extended at 150 millimeters here. And so a few days after that, Michigan ended up with our first big winter storm, where in my area, I think we got about 13 or 14 inches of snow, and went out with a buddy of mine and fellow Olympus shooter David Bostador. We went driving around in the blizzard in his four-wheel drive, and just stopped a dozen times at different things. And David had been wanting to shoot pine trees, that were covered in snow. So we found a stand of pine trees. So we get out to start shooting them, and his son got out of the car and walked up to the trees and noticed that it was actually two rows of trees, and it was completely hollowed out in the middle. So I stepped inside to shoot down the corridor of trees, and his son looked at me and said, "Can I run down it?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, you better run down it." So I let him take off running down it and just shot him running through it. And I don't know, just the scene was just so cool with this little boy running down through this tunnel of trees. It just kind of reminded me of the beginning of an adventure for a little kid. So that's pretty much what I was shooting over the last 2 weeks or so. And
yeah, that last one, I really like that last one. I saw it on Facebook. It's got a weird look to it. I mean, it's got that, and then it could also be a scary movie.
Right.
You're chasing somebody.
Who's chasing the kid?
Yeah, who's chasing you there? So, Bill, how you doing? Did you get back?
I'm not finding the window at all. Are you seeing me?
Yeah,
we see you real well.
It's bizarre. I'm not seeing the window, and now I've joined it again, but it's not letting me join. And I see.
Okay, so here's a question for you. You running? What are you? Are you on a Mac right now or Windows?
I'm on a MacBook Pro, and I'm in Safari.
Okay, so go to the dock and right-click or two-finger-click, whatever. You'll want to right-click on your Safari icon, and you should show like multiple things open. You want to click on the one that says Google Plus Hangouts, and that should bring the Hangout window front and center.
Google Plus Hangouts. Okay, that's it.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm seeing the screen again. So
yeah. So once you see the screen on your left, you want to bring the cursor over to the left of the Hangouts window, and the little toolbar pops out again. And the third icon down looks like a little green monitor with an arrow in it. That's the screen share. So you'll click on that.
And click desktops or Google Plus Hangout. No.
Well, you'll click on whichever screen shows your preview window.
Okay, start screen share. Come on. Oh my God, what's going on here now?
You are doing what we call infinity.
Yeah, dude.
Inception. I don't know whatever the term is for
Stop what I'm going to say. Stop that screen sharing.
Yeah.
And now
that. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Bring up preview. Why don't I
Yeah.
go ahead?
Bring up preview, Bill, and have it full screen maximized.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of doing this. Oh, there we
Yeah.
go. Okay, so
Yeah.
all right. So then this is. Let me get rid of
You
that.
can close that one. Yep.
Okay, and go to preview. Right there's. Come on, where are you? Preview. Here's Safari. Hide Safari.
There you go.
You're seeing it?
Yes. Well, I see your desktop, maybe Yosemite.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the default things.
After.
But, I had a.
Well, there's your folder right there. This says Mirrorless Minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
So double click that.
Command A, right
Yep.
click,
Yep.
preview, boom.
And just hit open and preview. You're good. We're watching you do it.
All right.
There we go.
There it is. Hey.
Okay.
All right. Now
Now,
we'll
can I go
stop
full
talking.
screen with this?
Yeah.
I can
Yep.
go full screen. So
Yeah.
Control F, and now it fills the screen, right? You see my purple flower, my violet flower.
You're good.
Okay, so this is my first experiment with the 60 millimeter 2.8 down in South Carolina. It really, this zoom, very close to the, I don't know what you call them, the little buds. I love the color in this and the detail it gave. It's still not as crisp and clear as it should be. I'm still working on that. I don't know if it's old age or the wrong shutter speed, but I'll blame it on the shutter speed. So I like this one, and it was so it was done with the, I guess it was the EM10 because I did it this fall, I believe. And then I love black and white. This is our son and our newest granddaughter, our third granddaughter, her 2-year-old birthday party. So. And these are pretty much, I don't edit very much at all, so these are pretty much straight out of the camera. And this was shot in, in the monotone shooting or picture, was it on, what's it called? Picture style. It's picture style in Canon. I think it's picture mode on Olympus. And this is what you talked about, Jamie. And this is excellent, to shoot like this in RAW plus JPEG. And so I have one of my function buttons set to turn on RAW. So when I get an opportunity like this with this, she had a colorful dress on it, so this would be nice in color as well. I press the RAW button so that I have the color data. Usually I don't care because usually I'm going to just pass it over to my iPad with the Olympus Share app and deal with it as black and white. Sometimes I darken them up, sometimes I don't. Okay, now this was, we share a condo down in near Charleston and Kiowa Island with 2 other families. And my wife and I were down there this fall, and we woke up one Sunday morning, and there had to be 3 dozen egrets all over the lagoon that we back onto. And I learned later from somebody else who lives there who talked to a ranger that what had happened is the weather had changed so dramatically that it got cold, and the fish, when that happens, it's called an inversion apparently, and the fish die and come to the surface, and the birds know it, and they're hanging out waiting for to pick one up. And so it was like a convention, and I was really disappointed because my brother-in-law was coming like the next 2 days, and we just prayed that these egrets would stick around because he would have been ecstatic because he's recently retired and has gotten into photography. I haven't convinced him to go the mirrorless route yet, but so he was very excited with his when there were still some birds there. So this is a little dark, but again, straight out of camera. And this, Mike will remember because at one point he said, "Where are the people?" Because I was taking all these pictures while I was waiting for my iPhone to be fixed at the Apple Store in downtown Charleston. And it also coincided with when I just gotten Tonality Pro from MacFun. And so I was experimenting. And so there's some characteristics about this picture I really don't like because of what the overworking of it does. I don't like overworking of images, but I kind of like the effect it gives, and I'm trying to perfect that. I mean, I was trying to perfect it. I've gotten off on some other things right now, but it's just a regular old black and white picture taken the same way as with my granddaughter and son, and I just ran it through through Tonality Pro, and I think, Mike, I know you've played with Tonality Pro, haven't you?
Whoops. Yes, yeah, definitely. I've got. In fact, I'm going to put together. I'm building a preset package for that to put out. Yeah, because I've got some really. I wouldn't call them wild, but I'd call them very different looks to it, and you can do that so much with that.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I like it, but I need to tame it. And I do a little bit in Lightroom. My goal really is, because I've set my contrast when I shoot black and white in the camera. I set my contrast to +2, and I set my sharpness to +2, I believe. And so I'm getting it as pretty much as I can in the camera, but still not as dramatic as some of the pictures I see other people producing. And I lust after those that look of really, really dramatic pictures. It's not overdone. So I think that's the last one of them. Yeah, this is the cover of my other ebook. So the other picture that you had on the website of the bridge going to the beach at Kia was another favorite of mine that I did with Tonality Pro. And that's kind of where I am. I don't have any style that I'm chasing, and I don't have necessarily any. I'm not a landscape photographer. I'm not a people photographer. I like to take pictures of people. But I just like to play with a lot of different things. So those are
Cool.
the three that I wanted to share.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
So now you've got to click. Let's see. Click stop sharing.
Stop sharing.
Up at the top of your screen.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, but see, it's not there because I was in the other program. So let me do the click here. Go back to Google Hangouts. All right, so now I'm there, and I'm going to say stop share. Now I've got my zoomed out. Up there we are. All right.
All right.
Now we're
back.
sort of normal, right?
Yep.
Whatever
I
normal
think
is.
you're back.
Okay.
All right. I'll zip through here real quick. Let's see.
I'll have to watch this video because I didn't see Dave's pictures. I got to go back and watch.
Yeah. Now, do you see Jamie? You've got a guy up there? All right. Thank you. All right. So last couple of weeks, big thing through Detroit, obviously, is our Detroit Auto Show. I'm just going to say it without seeing all the other ones. I know it's the best in the world, so we'll just leave it at that. There's nothing better. But as you walk through the show, there's just so many people cleaning the cars. And I did a little photo walk here with some people locally. And this one here, this guy just working the car, cleaning the cars, always dusting every day. Every hour, these guys just continually dust the cars, but just great smile. Real proud to talk to him, but just so proud to have a job working in Detroit, and was really happy with that. Just happy to 17 millimeter, of course. It's the only thing when I shoot people, I'm only shooting usually with 17 on that. The next one is a fantastic area at about I'm going to say 6 o'clock in the morning, on an extremely cold weekend. It's called Pallister Park inside the Detroit's News Center. And this street here is there's no cars allowed whatsoever on this street. That's all you can't see it now, but the cobblestone. And pretty nice homes. There's certainly not a lot of abandonment homes on these kind of streets, but just a beautiful street. And there's a couple of these, but Pallister Park's a beautiful area, and I just love how it looked with the lights coming off and right at the blue hour just before the sun came up. And there's a couple of people that have taken some pretty sharp images of this area, but that was one of the favorite ones from that week. And then a moment couldn't go by that we didn't talk about the snowstorm in Michigan. We did get just under 18 inches out by me. And so, of course, when the snow came, I said, I got to get out. I can't just sit in the house like they're telling me to. There's an ice sculpting event happening, and this is actually in Mount Clemens, which is fairly close to me on the east side of Michigan here. And these people are not really that cold. Those are actually, statues. So you don't have to worry about them. They weren't frozen playing checkers. But just shows you how quick the snow was coming down, inch an hour there. And then the last one, actually this one and this one, both with the 40 to 150. And nothing was going to prevent this guy from his bottle of Mountain Dew and paper in the morning. It's just a cool shot, just something that I don't keep a lot in color when I'm shooting people, but I love this one in color. It really shows the grain and what that snow was doing to his face and his eyes. So that's it. We'll stop at 4, and we'll go back to back to things happening here.
Cool.
All right.
I'll unmute Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unmute
I was
Bill.
trying to behave myself.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So
All
I
right.
guess I'm about ready to sneeze, of course. Well, I was gonna say we're about at the,
You want a Kleenex?
Yeah.
my screen's gonna need one if I do right now.
Yeah.
So we're at the 45-minute mark, and I don't know if there's really a whole lot of exciting news to talk about. I know I personally don't have anything to share. If either one of you do, feel free to jump in and share it.
I'm excited to see.
I'm going to share one thing, real proud moment last week. I know Jamie and I and everyone else that supported us doing this small little event here called Mirrorless Minutes that we decided to do. But Mirror Lessons, and if you're watching this, you're probably following Mirror Lessons too. But they did come out with the top 10 blogs to watch, mirrorless blogs to watch during 2015, and I want to give Heather and Matthew over there some big props for listing us as number 4 on there. I think I'm not even sure how this thing sort of evolved. I know we just started talking online, Jamie and I, but we got around to it, and it's going to get better. I mean, I think with we get people, Bill like yourself, and we get some other interviews that we have coming up, and we've got some interesting things planned that are in the works. So when some of this stuff starts popping out, I want to live up to that title of one of the best ones in 2015, and so I'm real proud that we were named that, and just want to thank them. And if you're not following mirrorlessons.com, you need to be, because they've got some great coverage and do a fantastic job. I know they're at Photokina this year, and they're not from the States, so it's good to get that different perspective on how things look and that. So that's really the only news that I wanted to talk about.
And they're moving from Italy to Wales.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. That's an interesting move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To see why.
Yeah. But outside of that, I think, and I know Jamie, he'll just probably list them in the things. We got a couple of workshops out there happening. We got our first Mirrorless Minutes workshop. We can talk more about that next time. We'll cover that a little bit more in depth the next time. It's not happening until July, and then the Chicago one as well. So, and Bill, you're going to Chicago, right?
I'm going to Chicago. I'm very excited. I think what I'm most excited about is meeting people that I've never met before, that I've met online. I think that'll be fun.
Right.
And if I could just give a call out to something that's happening here close by us, it's called Look 3. If you just go to look3.org, I mean, I have nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. When I worked at the university, I volunteered at an old Paramount Theater as an usher, and so I made sure that I worked when the Look 3 took over Charlottesville, because what it is I'll make this short. Nicholas, I think, is his name, and he's a photo editor for National Geographic. And what is interesting about Charlottesville is there are a lot of notable people who work elsewhere who live there. And so he works in New York, but he lives in Charlottesville, and he has a big farm, and knows lots of photographers, obviously. Invited them to his farm some years ago, and they all brought pictures to share, kind of like you do on your show here. And it just grew into an incredible event that they were doing every year. Now they do it every other year. And so this is the every other year. This June, I think it's the early part to mid part of June.
It's the 10th to the 13th, yeah. I'm looking at the website now.
And they have some incredible people there, and there's a lot of stuff that's free. The whole the downtown, we call it the downtown mall, but was a main street in Charlottesville, has been turned into a pedestrian mall. And so any store that has gone out of business, or any storefront that's empty, they take it over and make it a museum or a display, art display. And there's just people walking around with, I mean, you feel in your element, which is what I expect to feel like at this Out of Chicago thing, where it's not weird to have a camera around your neck or your wrist, because everybody else does. But it's really, I really recommend, if anybody is close by, then definitely go. Excuse me. And it's certainly worth the trip. I think Derek Story came 2 years ago, and unfortunately I wasn't going to be in Charlottesville, and he was there that particular year. But so look3.org.
Yep, I'll add that to to the show description, like any of the links that we always do on any of the shows. I always include those. So if you're getting a minute to view this on YouTube, the links for that, and I'll link, of course, to the Out of Chicago conference this summer in June. And then, like Mike said, I think on the next episode of Mirrorless Minutes, we'll talk more about our own personal workshops that we've got planned. We've already got one already set up, and we've got people registering to go, and that's going to be here in Michigan, and that's going to be a really fun one, low cost, couple of days worth of shooting. It'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, more details on the next show about that one. So
Good.
All right, and I guess with that, we'll probably just wrap it up. Just want to give you a big thank you, Bill, for coming on. And, I'll mention, too, that I will put the link to your site in the show notes as well so people can check out your ebook. I know that an invaluable resource. I've been told that twice this week by people.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Very nice to hear. And next one, the working title is One Flash Magic. I'm still looking to see if anybody has used that any place so I don't usurp it. But that's the plan. It'll probably be. I hope to have it done by the end of March.
Very good.
I've got to negotiate that contract with my granddaughters first.
Yeah. Good luck.
All right, so I guess.
Thank you very much, though.
Oh yeah, it was great to have you on, Bill. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll just wrap that up tonight. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in. And if you get a minute, swing over to YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Give us a thumbs up. We're always looking forward to comments on each one of the episodes, too. If you guys have got questions, you can shoot them there, and I guarantee Mike or I will respond probably faster than you would ever imagine possible. We're pretty prolific at doing that stuff online. So, again, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks again, Bill, for coming on, and
thank you.
We'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
Bye.